What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Chillin' with Dylan podcast. You're chilling with your host Dylan today, and right now I am currently chilling in my new room at this hostel I'm working at in San Diego, actually, right in the gas lamp district, right in the heart of downtown San Diego. I just arrived here a few days ago and just kind of finally got all situated here, and now, yeah, this is where I'm at. This is kind of the new studio, just this room here. Don't know if there's gonna ever be any like unexpected background noise or whatever, but I'll try to edit that out when I can. So first things first, I know it's been kind of a minute since I actually recorded a new episode. I know I just uploaded the episode I made with Mitchell out in Zion, and yeah, that one, it took me a minute to actually get around to doing that as I have been very on the go lately in my life. If you guys are paying attention to my Patreon page, you'll be able to read about all my journeys there. So I'm kind of going to leave all that to the blog posts on there, kind of the more in depth details of the travel itself. But I kind of figured, why not make an episode and kind of talk about how that's been? Because, I'm pretty sure, a lot of people out there probably haven't traveled like that before and might be thinking about it. And I just kind of want to tell you about some of my experiences, what I've learned, and yeah, just like how I've grown because of this travel. So basically, I started out my adventures in Utah out there. I was obviously at the Zion Ponderosa Resort out there. And basically from there, I went to Oregon and then out to California and then further south in California, which is why now I'm in San Diego. So, and it's been, I left on October 7th and just arrived here on the 26th. So, almost 3 weeks of, just go, 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 traveling, being in different places very rapidly, and a lot of places that I've just never been before either. So it's been very interesting. A lot of new experiences, a lot of trials and tribulations, and mystical things have happened. Kind of one of the latest mystical, not mystical, but kind of one of them things that makes you just have faith and believe in the good in life. Again, if you guys are paying attention to the Patreon post, you'll know that basically when I left Utah, I packed all of my stuff into two backpacks and got rid of everything else. And that includes a car as well. I had a car that I shared with Anthony out in Utah, but when I left, I was like, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't care to carry all of those responsibilities of a car around, and I just kind of wanted the adventure of seeing how to get around without a car. Do I really need one? And I ended up all the way out in San Diego and gone to so many other places without having a car. But basically, now that I'm settled out here in San Diego, I love walking. Walking is just kind of something that, I obviously love to do. Like it's just one of my main things that I do whenever I just don't know what else to do, or I've always loved to walk to places rather than drive or whatever, mostly because you can stop and enjoy the scenery a bit more. I feel like walking is more for experiencing a place, whereas driving is more about getting to a place. But anyway, now that I'm out here, walking it's very doable. You can walk to just about everywhere you need to go, but I would like to get around a little faster and not have to spend as much time walking while also not having to rely on public transportation or anything. If I don't have to, I will if I, want to go a little bit further and it's not really feasible to bike there. You could bike wherever, but I just don't want to take all day to get to a place only to be there an hour and then just have to, bike all the way back. And plus, I am looking into doing like Uber Eats and DoorDash and all that to kind of, make some money because this hostel situation that I'm staying at, basically, I work here but it's in exchange for a room in the hostel and food and all of the other benefits that come with living here. So the bike was kind of the one way I was like, ah, you know what, dude? Like, I could open some doors with that. So I go to Facebook Marketplace and I look up a bike and I'm looking for something kind of cheap. I find this one that's pretty decent and looks pretty nice for $50. The guy was asking for $50, which is, that's a pretty good deal for a bike that's in pretty good condition. But, I am kind of trying to save as much money as I can and keep expenses low right now until I start making a little bit more money. And so I knocked him down to $40, like the swindling sleuth I am, I guess. I don't know. Level 100 speech or whatever. So, yeah, he lived like a decent amount of time away. Like, if I were to walk there, it would have taken an hour and a half to walk. But I was like, you know what? I want this bike. I want to be able to start doing this stuff. So I told him, like, I can meet after 8 o'clock, but I will be walking, so it might take me a minute to get there. And he was like, "Oh, I can just swing by and drive it to you if you're not too far." And told him where I'm at. Then we got to talking a little bit more, and I ended up telling him what my intentions were with the bike, get around a little easier and make some money doing DoorDash. And basically he was like, "All right, I'll come at like 8:30, whatever." And 8:30 rolls around, we meet up out in front of the hostel, and I look over the bike and everything and start checking it out, whatever. Everything looks good, everything works right, and I finally asked him, like, "Oh, okay, do you take like Venmo or Zelle or whatever?" And he was like, "Dude, honestly, I was just planning on giving you the bike because you need the bike more than I do, and I have a new one, and I just want to help you out." And it was just like in that moment, I was just like, dude, what? No way. Like, I know it's only like a $40 like deal, but right now that helps so much. Like, that makes like a huge difference. Like, now I can, buy like a nice lock for it and kind of have a little bit of money left for whatever I need to do until I start getting the other income and all that. And I gave the dude a hug and everything. And yeah, it just made me believe in the good in people, because honestly, like, living out in like these city areas that I've been lately, like these bigger cities and all that, it can get a little like anxiety inducing. Like, I mean, you don't know who you're walking past on the street. And like, I like to believe that everyone is good and like has good intentions, but like, not everybody is like that. And when it's in a smaller area, it's a lot easier to kind of gauge the room, I guess, and the city, and kind of get a vibe of like the people. But in a big place like this, where there's like, I think San Diego has like over 1 million people, that's a lot of people to know nothing about. And yeah, it can get a little freaky sometimes and anxiety inducing. But every day on my travels, I have came across a person like this, like a kind person, even if it's just somebody that says something nice on the street, like, "Oh, I like your shoes," or like, somebody that even just smiles at you. Like, someone smiles at me, I immediately am like, "Oh, okay, like, we're good." Like, I don't have to start thinking of like an exit strategy off the sidewalk with this person. And so, yeah, like, on these adventures, a lot of it has been lessons in fear, honestly, because if I'm being honest, it's been very anxiety inducing, just hopping on a train and not knowing anything about the place that I'm going. And even just like before you get on a train, you have the anxiety of missing the train, or somehow your ticket's messed up and you're going to get on the wrong one, or you don't know anything about the bus stop you're going to get off at either. It could just be some sketchy corner with a dingy light that barely works with a bunch of crazy people around or whatever. And then, when you finally do get to the place, you're just like also kind of like, "Oh shoot, dude, this is all so new, and like there's so much going on." And every place that I've gone is like a different type of culture too. Like, it's all in America, but even going from like Portland out to Cannon Beach in Oregon. Like it's in the same state even, but like the culture or the vibe there is different. So, whenever you arrive to a new place, you don't even know the vibe. There's no one vibe for the whole world. And it can feel kind of lonely sometimes, like especially traveling solo because, this whole adventure has been solo. I mean, I met up with my good friend Chandler out in Oregon and all that, but like pretty much besides like the buses from Portland to Cannon Beach and back, every other bus, every other Uber that I've rode in, every other train I've been on, all that has been solo. It was just me, myself, and my two bags, and that's it. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've just learned so much about myself through this, and I've learned so much about fear and how, all these things that I feared never even happened. Like I was sitting there worrying about something that isn't happening and never was going to happen. And even if it was going to happen, like worrying about it is not going to stop it from happening. And every time that I start getting into that like anxious mindset now or that fear, I have so many things like examples to remember from this travel now of like, dude, don't even worry about it. Like you're fine. Like all these other times you've been fine. And yes, this may be the time that you're not fine, but I like to think that patterns repeat themselves. And, I think the only thing to actually fear is that fear that you are cultivating within yourself and spending your energy on creating. That's the real scary thing, is putting your potential towards being afraid. Like that's just a waste of your potential and your energy, and it's a cause of a lot of regrets. Like so far, the only things I've really regretted on this trip were the things that I didn't do out of being afraid. Even things like as simple as like giving a compliment to a stranger, like sometimes I was like, oh, what if they like take it wrong or like whatever? And then, I just wouldn't give them the compliment. And then like later on, I'd just be like, dude, come on. Like that's something that I wanted to do. And I just didn't because why? I don't know. I just made up some stupid reason why I shouldn't do what I want rather than just going for it. And I think most people would take kindly to a compliment. And if they don't, then run away. But there was one thing that happened on this travel so far that proved to me not to be afraid of like when things do go wrong. Keep a level head and like be there in the moment. Like don't get entrapped by the fear, I guess. And basically what happened was I was out in Alameda, California, which is right across the bay from San Francisco. Very chill place, very calm. Like I was there for almost 2 weeks doing like I was staying in this guy's house and helping him with tasks on his cars and stuff. And it just wasn't really what I was looking for. So I left, obviously, and now I'm here. But basically, it was like this little island. And, most of the people there are people that have families and stuff and their kids. Like, there wasn't really too many people my age or teenagers or anything. I mean, teenagers, yeah, but like people in their 20s, there wasn't many of, and I feel like that's, I don't know, there's just not a lot of troublemakers to be found out there. And so, I would go on a lot of walks like by myself, especially at night too, because, I had walked around for a little bit and found out that, oh, this is a pretty chill, safe area. I can walk around here and not feel threatened or anything. So this one night I was doing my normal thing, just walking around, taking some pictures on my camera and listening to music, whatever. And I had started exploring this area of the island I hadn't been to before, which was like kind of on this one main street called Park Street. And at the end of it, going like away from the bay, there's a bridge that goes over to, I think, Oakland or Berkeley or something. And just back there exploring, checking things out, taking pictures. And then I turn a corner and now I'm in this like weird kind of like I don't know, space where like it was just like all the ugly buildings that are like really boring that nobody wants to see are kind of tucked back there, like big warehouse or whatever. And I'm walking past there and I start hearing this, I don't know, it sounded like almost like a dog barking or somebody just like yelling or something. So I turn around and see these two kids walking up to me from behind, and I see the one like kind of yelling at me. So I take out my earbud and I hear him saying like, "Oh, what's in your bag? What's in your bag? Give it to me." And I was just like, "Oh, hell no, dude." And I just started sprinting, and that it was like kids too. It was like a, I don't know, probably like a 14-year-old and maybe like a 16 or 17-year-old, just kids being stupid, but in the moment I was just like, "Oh shit, like somebody's trying to rob me right now." And it was interesting because I feel like in the past I would have kind of like froze up and all that stuff, but after all this traveling and being exposed to like this, seeing that like my fear is the only thing to fear, it was like there was a little bit of fear at first because, obviously who wouldn't be startled by that? But then it was almost like I was able to hop back in the driver's seat very quick and make a decision. And, I just started booking it and I ran like, I took a left and then a right and then a left and a right and a left and a right. And I just kept zigzagging through all of these residences and stuff. And I ended up going probably like 6 blocks away, just sprinting, and totally cooked them, lost them. But, that also just kind of taught me that even if you are put into a moment that is kind of scary, you just have to trust yourself and like don't ask any questions. Don't sit in that fear. Like I was terrified running away. Like I was like, holy crap, this is happening right now. But it was also just like, I don't know, like I was operating on a level that was like above the fear. Like the fear was there, but it wasn't in the driver's seat. And yeah, I mean that's the first and only time that anyone's ever tried to rob me. And it definitely did kind of make me a little bit more wary after that to just, be not going into areas like at night, like when you think it's safe or whatever, especially if you don't know that spot. Like there was so many, pretty much anywhere else on the island, like I felt super comfortable walking around at night and just doing my thing. But maybe leave the exploring of like sketchy, or not even it wasn't even a sketchy spot, but like, just somewhere you haven't been before. Maybe go there in the daytime and kind of pick up on the vibe while you could see everything. And yeah, I don't know, this whole adventure has been, like I said, it's been like lessons in fear and love. And, like so far, it's just like I've found more lessons of like why fear just is kind of stupid and pointless, but like love is everything. Because, I have seen so many things, like even just sitting in the train stations and all that, and like just the power that even just seeing two people hugging, like, after someone gets off a train and they meet their grandma or whatever that they are coming to visit or whatever it is, like just seeing that just changes the whole vibe. In one of my blog posts, I was talking about how I was in the train station in Sacramento as I was going like up to Portland or whatever. And, I saw so many people from all walks of life just gathering in this train station. Everybody's going somewhere or coming from somewhere. And yeah, I saw this, like, I think it was like a mom and a daughter or something, and they were hugging. And, it just like made me start to look for more lovely things while I was in the train station just waiting. And, I'd see people talking to each other and laughing. And, it just changed the whole vibe of being in a place that I didn't know and just made it feel like welcoming. And like, this bus station in Sacramento was by no means like high class or anything. Like, there was all kinds of crap happening around this bus station, and, it probably was kind of like a sketchy area. I don't know. I've never been there before, but, it just like taught me to start looking, instead of like being on the lookout for things to fear, just like start looking for what is there that's lovely about this. And, if there's something that requires your attention, like somebody coming up and trying to rob you, like you'll just, deal with it when you deal with it. But for now, why sit there and scare yourself thinking about like all these things that could happen but probably won't and aren't happening right now when there's, lovely things going on right here right now, and you're just not seeing them because you're focused on something else, which is your fear. And like the whole journey, like I was kind of playing with that idea, just like, dude, is there love here? And so many times I would just kind of be like, oh dude, there's got to be something lovely here. And then like I'd start looking around, and eventually, like shortly after, kind of saying that, I would find a bumper sticker on someone's car that had a heart on it, or like I'd see people holding hands while they're walking, or like a dog getting excited about a bird in a field. Like that's love too, like that bird or that dog loves chasing birds or whatever. Or seeing people play basketball at the park, those people love basketball. There's lovely things all around us all the time. And if you really want to find it, you don't really have to go far. Like as long as you're seeking it, you will find it. And I find this more and more and more on these travels, and it makes it just hard to believe in the fear. It makes it hard to want to even listen to the fear anymore, because it just every time fear, it's never helped me. I don't think it's ever helped anybody. I guess like it could help in like the situation where, I was running from the people trying to rob me. That kind of fear is like fueling your running or whatever, but is it though? I don't know. I feel like it could also just be the will to live. You just don't want your shit stolen. You just don't want to get hurt or anything. So, at the end of that, I think it's like even fear isn't really helping you there. It's really more what you want. Like your desire is fueling that. Or like if a tiger's chasing you, like I don't want to get ate by that. That's why I'm running. And I don't know. It's just been very interesting, a very far out experiment, honestly. It's been very much a leap of faith. And so far, like I said, every fear that I've had has just been kind of irrelevant. Like none of that stuff has happened, but anytime I look for love, it's happening. It's happening right now. Like there's not always something to fear, but there is always something to love right now in the moment that you're in. Sometimes there's something to fear, but there's always something to love if you really want to look for it. But yeah, it's also just been really interesting because on these travels as well, I have met countless people that are just like, it's so weird. It's like you just kind of meet yourself everywhere you go in a way. Like I met so many people that were on the same travels as I was. And, obviously, if you're on a bus to Portland or whatever, you're going to also meet people going to Portland. But I also just ended up in places where I would meet people that were doing the same thing I did, like people that gave up their car and like all of their possessions, like people that were backpacking through places and doing like the same thing I'm doing, not just going to the same places. And it's just been like very interesting. And even when I went on this trip to Oregon and was in like Cannon Beach and Portland with Chandler and all that, like we were walking around taking pictures a lot, and like kind of, one of the main themes of our little trip was like photography and videos and stuff like that. And we just kept running into people that were into photography or film, or doing their own videos, and people with cameras. Like we just somehow stumble upon them and like start talking. It was just really interesting. And even now, like this guy with the bike that I picked up earlier, he just moved to San Diego, and I just did too. And he just came from the Bay Area, which is where I was just before this. It's just really interesting. Like it makes you feel like we're not all as separate as we'd like to think. And I don't think that we're separate. I think that we're constantly seeing our own reflection within our life, with the people that we encounter and the places that we go, and whatever's going on around us reflects our like inner activity. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. But it's been very interesting, and there's just been so many wonderful people that I've met along this journey. People on buses and trains and in hotel lobbies and restaurants and just out on a walk, even like sidewalks, or on a hike too, like just so many wonderful people that just have so much kindness in them, and they just, like, every person that I've even met homeless people that I talked to for a while just on the side of the street or out in Cannon Beach. The day I got there, I was there for a couple hours before Chandler arrived and before I could check into the Airbnb. So I was walking around Cannon Beach looking like a bum with my backpacking bag on my back and then my other bag on the front, and I was just walking around, killing time, just enjoying the beach. And then I went down this one street and I see a van parked at the end of it, and I see somebody in it. And it's funny because, like, you're taught how a weird van parked at, like, who's gonna walk up to that and like start a conversation? Well, this guy right here, mostly because I have done the van life and I'm just always curious about it when I see people doing it. I like to ask people how they like it and what kind of setup they have and all this and all that. And it was this guy named Tom, and he was like living in his van while he was on a waiting list for an apartment in the area. He worked at one of the hotels that was right next door to where he was parked. Yeah, I ended up talking to him and we took a selfie together, and he gave me some weed, which was really cool. But it's like, even in situations like that, like, everybody has something good in them. You might catch somebody on a bad day, but I don't think anybody's bad all the time. Yeah, I think we just all have our moments and yada yada yada. But yeah, I don't know, it's built a lot of trust in me, this journey. But at the same time, it's also like discernment, being able to tell how much I can trust somebody, or like a situation or whatever. But like overall, it's made me trust myself so much more, because every time that I have just followed my gut, it's just worked out. And like, I guess you can't always trust other people, but you can always trust yourself if you want to. Like, you can make yourself trustworthy to yourself. Like in that situation with the kids trying to rob me, like, my intuition just said run, just run, and I listened to it and I got away. And like, if I had chose something else other than what my intuition was saying, I don't think it would have ended up as well. I think maybe we would have gotten a fight, or like somebody could have got really hurt or something, and that wouldn't be good for anybody. Or I could have got my shit jacked. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole journey has just taught me to really, really, really trust that internal guide. Even with this bike earlier, I had hit up a couple of listings on Facebook Marketplace for bikes, and somehow I hit up this guy, he answered back, but there was this other bike that I was also interested in, and it was a little nicer looking, I guess, but it was also like $10 more. And I almost went with the other bike, but that part of me just said, dude, stick with this. And it ended up being like this dude gave me a free bike. And if I had hit up the other guy for the other bike, maybe he wouldn't have been as kind enough to want to just give away his bike like that. It's just been crazy. It's been crazy, and it's been a lot to process too. It's like, I don't know, I've been very internal lately. I feel like I have definitely been a little more inward and kind of like with myself, and I'm really communicating with myself more rather than going out and asking for advice from other people or whatever, dude. It's just been I think it's just been like a lot to process, you know. It's a lot of traveling, it's a lot of new experiences, a lot of things that I've learned, and now it's like I'm just processing it and digesting it almost. Now that I'm in like a spot that I could kind of like chill out for a minute and get settled and all this and all that. But yeah, dude, I don't know. It's just I like to share this stuff because like I said, a lot of people want to travel and want to do fun stuff like this, but there's just so much more to it than just buying a ticket somewhere and just, you know, going and having a good time. Like there are realities to it. Like you will have times where you're going to get anxious and overwhelmed and like scared even. And I just want to share this stuff so that you know what you're getting into. Like I think everybody should do it. I think everybody should travel and just go. And you know, even with all of these trials and tribulations, like it's so worth it, dude. All of those anxious moments and things, like I don't know, it just teaches you how to deal with it and to be better than the anxiety and the fear and know better and trust more than fear. But you know, like I feel like there's just so many travel things out there, like travel blogs or like travel YouTube channels or Instagram or whatever, and they just, you know, highlight the ups of it. But, you know, you go up in the airplane, you gotta come back down if you truly wanna, like, travel and land somewhere, like, you have to come back down, like, there are lows in traveling. It's not all rainbows and sunshine, but at the end of the day, I think, at least for me personally, it has made me a more well-rounded person and a little more adaptable to a wider range of experiences and situations. And, you know, I know how to deal with a lot more things now than I did 3 weeks ago. And it's really cool. And I feel like you also learn what you like and what you don't like a lot more. You know, for example, like going out to Alameda out by the San Francisco Bay, I thought I was gonna like that a lot more than I actually did. And, you know, it made me wonder like what was I expecting to get out of this? And like, I don't know, like it was like a reality check on like what's important to me, what do I want? Like out there wasn't like as much of a social life. You know, like I said, it was mostly like older people or their kids, no one really my age, so like it wasn't very social. There was a couple places to go in town, but like I said, it's like there's no young people around there unless they're like way too young to where it's just weird to hang out with them. And you know, being out there, it showed me that like to me like it's important to have the option to like have the social aspect of things and like people that are at a similar point in life to me, you know, in their 20s or whatever, or doing the same things. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think traveling just it makes you realize what's important to you and what you actually want rather than, you know, because I feel like we could build up like some of these places that we want to go in our minds to be like the place. It's going to be heaven. And then you get there and it's, you know, not like what you thought at all. And, you know, it teaches you to just be happy with where you're at. Although, like out in Alameda, I didn't have like all the social aspect that I wanted and all that. Like, I really learned, you know, because mostly I would just walk around town just by myself and listen to music and take pictures, look at cool views and stuff like that. You know, like I was able to, like, with that solitude, like, kind of slow down and just really be like, dude, just be happy where you're at right now. Like, you're here, you're breathing, you got this sunshine on you, or if it's cloudy, oh, dude, there's no sun shining on you. So now it's not blazing hot. Like, you know, wherever you are right now, and whatever you're doing right now, like that's where you should be focusing on making yourself happy. Like it's not in some other place, it's not in some other time, it's not in some other person. It's not your happiness is not in anything but you. And if you expect to go somewhere and come back super happy, like, it's not the place that's making you happy. It's just like if that were to happen, it would have to mean that you went to a place and decided to finally be happy. And, you know, once you do that, it's just everywhere. You take it with you everywhere because it's inside, and you bring that inner life with you everywhere you go. Like it's the core of your life. So yeah, I like talking about this stuff because I just want to let people know, like, if you want to go travel to find something that you think you can't find here and now, you're fooling yourself. Like, yes, you may find those things while you're in another place, but it truly comes from within. Your peace and joy and happiness and love and self-worth and all this, it comes from within. You're not gonna like go out to freaking Albuquerque, New Mexico or something, and then like on the sidewalk you find something, like you just find your love or your happiness or your joy. Like, you're not just going to find that on the ground because it's in you. You can't find it in things or people or places or anything. And what I'm finding is, like, as you find it in yourself, you will also see it in the world. Like, you'll see it around you because you've found it. Like, the only reason you don't see all those things in the world is because you don't believe in it and you don't accept it and you don't know that you have it already. Thinking that you don't have these states of mind, these feelings, like, that's why you don't have them. But truly you do have them, you're just not accepting it within. And when you accept it within, that's when it's real, because now you can take it anywhere. It doesn't matter what's happening, it doesn't matter who you're with. Like, you have it with you, in you right now. And that's what this journey has really pounded into me, because there were a lot of points where I was a little, like, down in the dumps, or like waiting for the train to come so I could get on and then finally relax and be happy and chill. But like, I would realize that, like, I don't have to be on the train or wait for it to come to just chill out and relax. Like, I can do that while I'm walking, or while I'm sitting in the train station, or while I'm at a hotel, or in a coffee shop, or at the beach. Whatever, anywhere you are right now is the right place and the right time to choose to be happy, to choose to be in love with life, and have that sense of wonder and curiosity and awe. Like, right now, right here, right now, that's the time to do it. Don't be waiting for tomorrow to come, or for the train to come, or whatever it is. Like, you don't have to do that because you already have these things. And yeah, that's kind of what this travel has shown me. It's funny because it's been, a journey throughout the world, but it's also simultaneously been a journey through myself, and through my own mind and spirit. And that's just, another one of them times I've noticed that your inner and outer experiences aren't really separate. If you're happy inside, you're going to have a lot of things to be happy about on the outside. If you're at peace in life, you're going to notice peaceful things more often in your day to day life. If you're in love with life, you'll always be finding something to be in love with in your life. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to record something new tonight and finally, get the ball rolling again. And I do have another episode from the Ponderosa from Zion that I want to edit up and all this with Kat. And the Cat, if you're listening, like, I'm so sorry it's taken so long to get this out, but I'm getting back on it now that I'm kind of stationary for a minute. I just did not want to, taking out my laptop on the trains and stuff, only to have to try to shove it in my bag again, because my bags are packed to the brim since I only have two of them, and everything I own is in that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of contemplate on the travel. So now I have stuff to talk about, obviously, things to share with the world. But yeah, I still have one episode from Utah to edit up and get out, and then this one, obviously. And yeah, now like from now on it'll be San Diego episodes, and I'm really hoping to have some cool interviews with people while I'm out here. I know some of the hostel workers that are here. I'd love to interview them. People that I meet on the street and at restaurants or whatever, just anybody. I'm really excited to see where this goes. And then, if y'all haven't already, make sure you're staying up to date on the Patreon. I'm starting to do a lot more blogs there. I want to start making some more of the Chilling with Dylan after hours episodes on there because I only have one, but the blogs will be pretty consistent. I like doing that, just typing stuff up and putting it out there. And then I also put out the Peace Out Utah video on my YouTube channel, just chilling with Dylan on YouTube. That one was fun. That kind of highlights all the things that I did while I was out in Zion, out in Utah. And yeah, just now that I'm chilling and stationary, like y'all can expect to have more stuff coming out. And I'm really excited to see where this new chapter leads. And also, I had my two biggest days for the podcast according to my Podbean statistics. So I think it was October 23rd or something. We had 28 views in one day, which was my best day ever, at least according to Podbean. I don't know if I've had more than that in one day before. But then today, actually, we had like 74 views today on the podcast. And that just blew my mind. Like, that's, almost what, like triple, almost quadruple the best day I've had like 4 days ago or whatever. Like, that's insane. So I just want to say thank you guys for the support and listening. And I hope you guys really enjoy whatever I'm putting out because, I enjoy making it and I enjoy spreading whatever it is that we got to spread and the interviews and everything. It's all just so fun and, it makes me feel connected to the world. And so I want to say thank you guys for the support. I want to say thank you for tuning in over and over again and just seeing what's going on. Yeah. So really excited to get more stuff out and see where this new chapter goes, dude. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. And until next time, have a good time. Peace.